I'd like to call the May 2nd Stanley County Board of Education meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all of you here, and the Chair would like to recognize Mr. Todd Swearingen for our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me, please. Father God, I just give you thanks for this day, and I give you thanks for our community and the opportunity that we have to serve the kids in our community. And I just ask that all of our deliberations, our discussions, our decisions, that they be pleasing to you and beneficial to all. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Join me for the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Swearingen. Next item on the agenda, before we go any further, just be aware that on your personnel agenda, you have some two additions highlighted. I guess that's supposed to be red, but it looks orange to me. But anyway, they're highlighted. Those are additions to your personnel agenda for tonight. Okay, next item we have is recognitions, and I'd like to recognize Mr. Bill Josie for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And for my favorite part of the agenda, I'd like to call up East Albemarle Robotics team, either their teacher representative or Mrs. Gullick, either one, to come and introduce their team.
Thank you. I would like to introduce everyone to the fantastic, famous, and always producing great academics, the East Albemarle Robotics team. And they have done an outstanding job in going to contests and competitions this year. I'm gonna let Ms. Graham come up and tell you about the one that they just won this past Saturday.
Hi, I'm Shannon Graham, and I teach fifth grade at East Albemarle. And of course, you already know that they won the championship here for the county, and we went last Saturday to the state competition, and out of 48 schools, they got third place for the Teamwork Challenge.
Can I add one other item? They've never competed before. This is the first time they have ever taken on a feat of this magnitude. And I congratulate them for doing an awesome job.
I think we might need a picture with the board.
Stand up, stand up. Stand up, yeah, there you go.
We have Ms. Gullis coming.
Man, that's a good one.
Chair was a little remiss for not recognizing our new secretary to the board down here, Mr. Terry Tucker, with us tonight. So, thank you. Okay, you should have a copy of April 11th regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions, deletions that need to be made to those? Okay, hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We will proceed to committee reports. Instructional program, Ms. Glenda Gibson. Mr. Ryan McIntyre, facilities.
Yes, on the evening of April 25th, we had a Facilities Committee meeting and had 3 items that we discussed that night. One was an easement request from Piedmont Natural Gas at Albemarle High School. And if there's no objections, due to some additional information that we've received in the form of an email to Ms. Hatley, we would wish to put this off till we can get some more information on that.
Okay, if there's no objection from the board or the committee members, we'll just let that go back to the committee for some additional legwork on that. Okay.
Also, we discussed the Norwood Wall project and the capital budget requests for 2017 and 2018. And in speaking with Ms. Watson, I was hoping that maybe we could recognize Mr. Bowers and Ms. Hatley together to help answer any questions on both of these issues during the covering the Finance Committee report.
Is that it? All right, Ms. Watson, Finance.
We had our meeting the same night, April 25th. You have a capital budget request in your packet. I'd like to say that our budget is a little less than last year. And also, in addition to approving this, we need to recommend to the board to accept the bid and award the contract to H.M. Kerr Corporation for the Norwood Elementary School Media Center I can't even talk tonight. The wall project at the amount of $1,051,800. That makes sense.
I assume this is a motion from the committee.
Yes.
Okay, the motion from the committee is to recommend the board accept the bid and award the contract to H.M. Kern project for the Norwood Elementary School Media Center renovation project at an amount of $1,051,800. The chair would just ask the question, does this include the air conditioning piece of that?
Mr. Chair, what that included, we had to remove, this time replacing the DX unit and the air handler, but it would include all ductwork and VAV boxes, so at some time later, if we needed to, that would be an easy process. It came out because of, we can get by without it right now, and the project came in higher than we were anticipating.
I guess that was what the inquiry was, this is actually, you get a little more than just doing the walls in.
Yes, it's more than doing the walls. It's updating all the controls in the new building. It is putting VAV boxes and new ductwork in the new building so that we can have individual classroom control, but we leave the existing DX unit and the existing air handler for possibly a later date. Air handler we may not come back for at some point. The DX unit obviously would have to be replaced.
Before you take off, do any other board members have anything they want to ask Mr. Bowers? And we apologize for messing up your evening.
No, you're fine.
So the scope of the project, as was presented in the last budget cycle, has not changed except to...
It has not changed, other than we pulled out the DX unit, like I say, and the air handler. Other than that, everything is presented in the request you have before you.
Now, this is this what came back after the rebid, or did you get
Well,
rebid or?
we didn't have time really to rebid. We just started putting a lot of pressure on the low bidder. Actually, we were able to knock out from his original bid and his original alternate 3, we knocked out about $250,000 out of it. Maybe a little more we was able to trim out. And then alternate 4, just to let the board know, you have on your capital project or budget a request to do the old building for the controls. That came in at 190, and I just pulled it out and said that's ridiculous. And I can do that for about 70,000 myself. That's why I'm requesting that. It just got pulled out of their project. I'll take care of that one myself.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? If not, we thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. This was a motion from the committee, so it does not need a second. So all those in favor of approving the bid and awarding the contract to H.M. Kern for the Norwood School Media Center renovation project, an amount of $1,051,800, please signify by saying aye. And I didn't ask for discussion, but I'm assuming everybody already asked what they wanted to know. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, the motion carries. I'm still with you, Ms. Watson. That's all you have. Okay.
I do that. You need to, yeah,
Oh, that's right.
sorry.
Okay, I'm assuming this came as a motion from committee too, okay. Okay, you have a copy of your capital outlay budget. Came from committee, no second is needed. Is there any questions, any discussion?
My understanding is based on the way the work will be performed, some prior to close of budget year, some after budget year. That's why we see part of the Norwood renovation in this capital budget request. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, that is correct. You'll see the Norwood new building renovation is listed at $800,000 for the 17-18 capital budget request. In the 16-17 budget request, there will be $150,000 carryover from that. We're giving us a total of $950,000.
Any other discussion? If not, whoever, hold your peace. Okay. Do not need a second. All those in favor of approving the 2017-2018 capital outlay budget request as presented, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we're through. Is that correct? Personnel, Ms. Crump.
I do not have anything to report this time, but we will be meeting within the next couple of weeks, at least before the June meeting. So that will be posted on the website when we have the date.
Okay. Policy, Mr. Todd Swearingen.
No report?
Mr. Josie, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay, this next item on the agenda, the chair is going to exercise the prerogative to pull this and send it to a policy committee for some extensive discussion. And let's say need something back as soon as possible, but it's not like it has to be done next week, but sometime within the next couple of months, if you could have a meeting and deal with that and see what you can come up with some recommendation or no recommendation or whatever. And in the meantime, those that are concerned about transfer policy being established, you have liberty to request transfers at any time. They may routinely get turned down by policy, but an appeal will still get it before the board if you so desire. So until something gets developed, we'll have to deal with it in that form and fashion. Okay, number 7, curriculum and instruction, Mr. Danny Poplin.
I would like to ask the board if they would consider to make June 8th and 9th early release days for high schools and middle schools based on high school exam schedules. Typically, the reason we have to do middle school is because, of course, shared buses with the high schools. The 8th would be the 4th and last day for exams, and there's no tutorial block normally in that last day or that Thursday. And then any makeups would be that Friday, and that basically would give the 4-hour time frame to be able to make up that exam.
Mr. Poplin, you are offering that as a recommendation?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
It makes it
I'm
simple-
sorry.
It makes it simple to make a motion, is the reason I'm asking
Yes, sir.
that. If someone cares to move to approve Mr. Poplin's recommendations, so state, and we'll move on. Do we have a second? Okay, I have a second. Any further discussion or any questions of Mr. Poplin? Hearing none, all those in favor of the recommendation, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman of the Board, I would like to also point out a couple points of information, just share with you. You've heard a little bit about it earlier tonight with East Albemarle. I'd like to just tell you just a little bit more. April 1st, Stanley County had our second annual robotics competition for our elementary and middle schools at Locust. Top 4 teams that day earned the right to compete in RoboFest 2017 in Charlotte. That was what was held this past Saturday. They did mention there were 48 teams in attendance from North Carolina and South Carolina. The schools advanced were East Albemarle, Baden, Locust, and Stanfield. I'm very proud to announce, of course, as you've heard, East Albemarle won 3rd place in the Teamwork Award. And this, I quote, accomplishment is even greater when you consider that East Albemarle's first year in robotics, where a lot of teams there were in their 5th year. I also would like to address that Stanfield Elementary robotics team won 2nd runner-up award at RoboFest overall on Saturday. They had the 3rd highest combined score out of 48 teams. And we hope to get them here at the next board meeting. And again, that was their first year of robotics. Robotics team from Locust actually won the Judges Award at RoboFest. The Judges Award, and again I quote, is one of the highest honors a robotics team can receive at RoboFest. This award is given to the team that has the top performance across all 3 categories of the competition. And those 3 categories are robotics performance, teamwork performance, and project presentation performance. So we again would like to just take the time to share that information on how well they did this past week. I would also be amiss, it came across that North Stanley Middle School marksmanship team for the 2nd year in a row won the state championship this weekend at Ellerby, and they'll be getting ready to plan to go to New Mexico to compete in the national event over this summer. So I'd just like to share that with the board as points of information.
Thank you, Mr. Poplin.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mrs. Calvert.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to draw your attention to the personnel agenda. Section 1 requires no action, and Section 2 does require action.
Okay, does anyone want to pull any item on Section 2? I don't really have a problem with A and B, but I just so we can talk a little bit, I'd like to pull A and B, and then if anybody wants to make a motion to approve the rest of them at this time, we can do that.
I move approval of Section 2 with the exception of Sections A and B of the personnel agenda.
Motion by Mr. Swearingen to approve Section 2 with the exception of A and B. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Watson. Vicky and Vicky here, I'm sorry. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Hadley, you have anything for? I think you do.
Yes, sir. I would just like to report on the merit bonus that we paid out in April. I know we spoke briefly about this at the board work session, but I had promised a breakdown of some figures just to let you know. We paid out a total of $126,966.33, and that includes the, sorry, not retirement, but FICA as well. Our state payout was $91,819.35. Federal was $7,643.11. Our child nutrition payout was $26,938.71. And our local was $565.16. We were able to go just above what the board's plan suggested as an example. We paid out $425 for employees who qualified with 0 to 10 years of experience with Stanley County Schools, $525 for those with 11 to 20 years experience, and $625 for those with 21 plus years of experience. We did prorate that based on their percentage of employment. So if they're at half-time, 50% employment, they got half of the bonus. And that was probably the largest question that we received for the employees.
Just make the observation, I know it's not a whole lot, but I'm sure they appreciate it. The chair would just hope that this doesn't put them in a higher tax bracket where they end up making less money.
Right. We hope not. Any questions about the merit pay that was distributed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hadley. Mr. Bill Josie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet is the superintendent's recommended local budget funding request. This is not your local budget. What is due by May 15th to the commissioners is your funding request, the amount of funding you're requesting from them for your local budget. And I'll walk down this budget request with you. At the top is approximately $10.7 million, which is the 2016-17 county funding this year. They also gave us an $86,000 teacher supplement grant. That was a one-time grant. So we have to remove that in the calculation and take that back to $10,613,243 is our starting number. And then below that, you'll see my 2017-18 increase in funding requests to be sent, given to the board for consideration. First is $172,000 increase for $200 for each teacher for the teacher supplements. That's $100 more than this year once you remove out the $86,000 from the current year. Also a $200 per year increase to principal and assistant principal supplements. $81,000 to increase the teacher assistants back to 8 hours a day from 7.5 currently. And $81,400 to restore the coaching supplements back to the 2010-11 school year when they were cut. The next four items, $158,000, $58,000, $68,000, and $59,000 are the four numbers that are required to get Oakboro Elementary STEM School open, a total of $343,000. To give us a total funding request to the county of $11,297,253. Those revenues are broken up below with $500,000 Article 44 sales tax, $172,000 for the teacher supplement grant, $10,282,253 for the regular current expense, and then an additional $343,000 over what your normal request would be for the Oakboro STEM School. Any questions?
you had any discussions with Mr. Lucas about this? Has he given any feedback on the request, or on the potential request?
Mr. Lucas and I have met before these numbers were prepared. Mr. Lucas obviously has not gotten a number to his board yet, but we were able to discuss in whole figures where this board's request should come in. That request would be $343,000 less than the current budget that I built. The budget request that I built, that I felt comfortable making, was one that would maximize the amount of revenues that the county was willing to provide, plus an additional $343,000 request for the opening of Oakboro.
Mr. Joseph, when is this due to the commissioners?
By statute, it is May 15th unless agreed upon by a later date. Mr. Lucas and I have discussed that it could be later if we needed it to be.
Okay, so we need to take action on this tonight, get it. Anyone want to move to approve the superintendent's recommended budget?
I move to recommend to our board that we take Mr. Josie's recommendation.
Motion by Ms. Watson to accept the superintendent's budget request presented to the commissioners. Is that fair enough? I added a little bit to your motion there. Okay, do we have a second? Have a second. Okay, any further discussion or any questions of Mr. Josie? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Motion will carry. And Mr. Josie, I will try to see about getting on their second meeting this month, so I can make a little presentation of them too. Thank you. Okay, we're to public comments, and we have 4 people signed up. First one to the free throw line, Mr. Al Andrews.
Glad it's not a free throw line. I never was a very good free throw shooter. Mr. Chairman, board members, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Al Andrew. I was a fortunate young man back in 1984 when Albemarle City Schools hired me to teach and coach. And as the years went by, of course, Stanley County Schools took over, and I was so fortunate to work for them. 31 years, great career. Other than a few outcomes of ball games, I wouldn't change a thing. And it was just a wonderful job for 31 years. I can't believe I did it that long. And I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in, like, time flies. As we all know, the older we get, it really goes by. With that said, I taught at different schools in the city, but for 22 years I coached at the high school, Albemarle High School, for my entire career. Taught there the last 22 years of my career. And what a great school to teach at. What a great group of faculty members, administrators to work for those 22 years. I would go to teachers' conferences, coaching clinics, and people would see on your name tag Albemarle High School or Stanley County Schools, and they'd say, "Oh, you're at Albemarle. That's a great place to work." Yes, it is. I was so proud to say that. Everywhere I went, people would say, "Oh, y'all got a great school, don't you?" "Yeah." "Hey, your athletic program's wonderful." "Yeah, your academic." Great group of kids, and it was all the kids. I mean, it was just a wonderful place to be. Well, today I stand here and I don't think I can show the same pride that I had for that school then as I could today, and that's sad. Now, I haven't been there in 2 years. I've been retired for 2 years. But I still have a couple friends that teach there, and I care about the school, and I hope things get better there. And I hope you folks will do the right thing to help it get better, because those kids deserve it. You know, we're coming off a situation back in the early 2000s, late 1990s. We had 680 students And it's my understanding now it's around 400, or maybe even less. I don't know. That's amazing to me, the drop off. And we have a lot of problems in all of our schools, but I hope you'll do what you can to help Albemarle High School, because I really still care about that place. But that's not necessarily the only thing that brought me tonight to speak to you. A couple weeks ago, I got a phone call from Coach Jamie Kimry. If you don't know Jamie, he's the former athletic director at Albemarle High School today. This was just 2 weeks ago, I believe, maybe Wednesday or Thursday night. I don't recall. He called me one night, and I coached Jamie back in the '80s. You won't find a more decent human being ever in Stanley County. Fine teacher, fine coach, maybe even a great teacher and a great coach, but an even better man. He called me that night and he said, "Coach, just want to tell you what happened at school today." I figured you want to say, "Oh, so-and-so got in trouble," or whatever. And he said, "I got fired." So I started, "What? You got fired?" "Yeah, I got relieved of my duties as athletic director at Albemarle High School." I'll leave you a little bit of background. I don't want to go over my minutes, but Jamie.
I was going to say, you're getting pretty close.
Okay, well, Jamie Kimry took over the AD's position 2 years ago after we just had a major change of events at Albemarle High School. We had change in administration, a lot of teachers leaving. We had an eligibility issue where football games had to be forfeited. He took over the AD position, and he has held that school together on the athletic side of things like probably no one else could have at that school. Now, there wasn't a long line to get that job, I'm sure. He took it. And to my knowledge, I haven't heard one negative thing said about his job as AD by the coaches or anyone else at Albemarle High School. Well, he told me he was called in, and the new principal at the high school, who I don't know, never met him, don't know who he is, said they were going in a different direction. That guy had been there a week and a half, maybe less, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. He didn't know which direction Jamie Kimry had that program going in the first place. That's not right. Now, I understand you can fire people, you can relieve people of their duties. I understand that's the world we live in. But to my understanding is, too, that Coach Kimry, after relieved of those duties, has not received one thank you, one word of appreciation from any administrator, from the man who fired him that day, from the county AD who was sitting in the office. And that's not right. He deserved better than that. He deserves to keep his job. I understand if you don't want him to have it, that's fine. He didn't deserve to be treated that way. No one does.
I'm going to have to blow the whistle on you. I think we get the
Okay.
gist of where you're going.
I'll leave you with this.
And the chair would like to apologize to you for calling you Andrews. That's been in my brain for a long time.
Singular, not plural, but that's okay. I'll leave you with this. For 32 years on my practice schedules, 22 years at Albemarle High School, 32 years coaching, 31 years teaching. But on my practice schedule, every day we had a thought for the day that my players had to learn and they had to memorize, or they had to run if they missed it. And one of my favorite ones was, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing, and there's never a right time to do the wrong thing. I hope you guys will remember that, and I hope someone will thank Coach Kimry someday, because he did a fine job. Thank you for your time tonight. I apologize for going over. Call a technical foul on me, I'm sorry.
I apologize for getting your name wrong. Okay, next one is Melissa Belk.
Hey there, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to come before you this morning. I come as the bearer of good news. Everyone can always use some great news. NCAE chapter here in Stanley County has offered some high school scholarships to some of our students, and I would like to share with you who those are. I have at the Stanley Early College, Abby Spate, as she goes by, is going to attend Appalachian State University with a major in English and a secondary in education, and she won a $500 scholarship toward that. West Stanley, I have Rebecca Tucker. Rebecca plans to attend Wingate University, and she plans to major in elementary education with a minor in writing, and she also received a $500 scholarship from our unit. At Albemarle High School, Taylor Engel. Taylor is planning to be at Stanley for a while and then transfer to Pfeiffer. And she plans to get her major in English and minor in psychology. At North Stanley High School, we have Madison Ragsdale. Madison plans on attending the University North Carolina at Charlotte, and she plans to get her major in K-5 elementary education. We did not receive applicants from the other high schools, so we don't have anyone to present from them. We wish we had, because we had money to give away. We also have teachers. Jared Spate at North Stanley High School. Jared has this great idea. He won a $250 class grant from us. He's going to be teaching the ACT Work Keys Test preparatory course, and he's going to incorporate fantasy football type activity to promote and to just keep morale up and to drive the students with a little healthy competition. Also, we have awarded a $250 scholarship to Amanda Horton. Amanda is at Norwood Elementary. She's the curriculum coach, and she's looking to build some background knowledge for the students there in taking them to an activity, a field trip called Snakes Alive, you know, everyone's favorite animal. So we're just pleased to be able to be a part of Stanley County. We are Stanley County teachers, and I encourage teachers that are out there that are not a part of our NCAE unit to become active. Would also like to thank NCAE for House Bill 13. That they fought so overwhelmingly for, and if the public does not know, that allows the ratio lowering of K-12 or K-3 class sizes, gives us a year to kind of prepare for those changes. I just am proud to be a part of Stanley County Schools and part of NCAE here in North Carolina, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Mr. Dennis Layton.
Now, Mr. Chairman, board members, thank you for letting me out to speak tonight. I'm here to talk about Oakboro School and ask you to delay the opening of that school for next year. Again, here's the reason I think you should delay. I would highly recommend you going out and hiring a demographics company and do an overall study of the entire county, of all your physical needs, all the district lines, and more important, take a survey to the public and find out why we're losing students. I know Greystone has got a waiting list of over 200 right now in their high school, and I have no idea what they have on their list for middle school next year. But all of that students, most of it comes out of Stanley County. And the money for those students, you have to write the check to them as it comes through the state. So that's a big drain on your budget. But I guess the main issue is get an overall study so you can tell the people what direction you're going. Right now, nobody knows what you're going to do. It could be opening up Ridgecrest or closing Oakboro again. They don't know. But I'd highly encourage you to hire a demographics company and get a plan in place. Thank you.
I pushed it up and turned it off. I'm sorry. Next speaker, Mitzi Allman.
Thank you. For those of you that have high school students, I'm sure you've already gotten your course registration form. I've got both my kids. And as I was looking over it, I'm aware that our graduation requirements are 15 core classes, 1 PE, and 12 electives. But my child's options are 32 core classes and 65 elective options. I don't understand the lack of core classes being offered to our students in high school. I don't think that we should be concerned if we are comparable to other schools, but whether are we satisfied? Are we satisfied with what we are offering our students? I've heard a lot of talk about lines, ADs, supplements, etc., but where's the discussion on academics? We have teachers and principals changing grades so that students are eligible to participate in athletics. Where's the support for changing a grade when a student has an 89 and has worked their rear off to get an 89 to bump it up to a 90, which means the difference between a 3.0 GPA and a 4.0 GPA? It just seems like that athletics are taking the lead. Next, I want to talk about East Albemarle. If I'm not mistaken, right now, East has a grade of a D, which makes it a high priority school. There's a 5th grade class that's been without a certified teacher since February. It's my understanding that Mr. Kilgore was moved to East to help with several issues, including this one. He is now out for the remainder of the year, or so I'm told. So what are we doing to address that at a D school? We don't want to get it to the point where it is a failing school. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comments. Superintendent's comment, Mr. Bill Josie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rarely do I ever take advantage of my of being the superintendent, but tonight I have an opportunity during Teacher Appreciation Week to actually have the mic and publicly thank my teachers. Mrs. Rush, Mrs. West, Mrs. Cook, Mrs. Blaylock, Mrs. Leach, Mrs. Booth, Mrs. McNeil, and Mrs. Kimry. And that's just Norwood. I could keep going. Mrs. Eford, Mrs. Sigmund, Mrs. Sangees, Mr. and Mrs. Whittington. I can just keep going on and on and on. You know, I can barely remember what I did last week, but I remember the names of every single teacher that I sat with. If that doesn't define making a lasting impact, nothing does. My principals, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Anderson. Amazing me, and I see a South Stanley smiling back there in the back. I also know them. Names that you never forget. Names that didn't just teach us how to calculate the volume of a cone, but taught us how to live, taught us how to be citizens. And it's those things that I want us all to take a moment this week. And I encourage you to take my lead and write a letter. Write a letter to one teacher, and my teacher is going to be Marlene Sangees. You know, I grew up in a home with 2 educated parents, 2 college graduates, one a teacher. So education was a priority in our home, and rarely did I go into a classroom where I wasn't already prepared before the lesson. But walking into a foreign language French class, unless your parents are from France, you're not prepared. I know Mr. Swearingen and Ms. Crump also had Ms. Sangees. She created an environment where we were comfortable challenging ourselves, we were comfortable making mistakes, we were comfortable asking questions, we were comfortable stepping out of our comfort zone. And it's those reasons, it's those things that build lifelong skills, turn us into lifelong learners. But to all other teachers, not named Ms. Sangees, that will not get a letter, I want you to know that you're appreciated. But you're not just appreciated. I trust you and I believe in you. I send my son to you every day. At Central Elementary School this year, at Albemarle Middle School next year, and on to Albemarle High School. I believe in you. I don't just believe in you for him, but I believe in you for our other 8,000 plus students. I believe that you are the answer. You are the answer for his future. You're the answer for his success and the future and success of the other 8,000 plus students. I believe that you're the future. I believe that you're the answer for this county's future and this county's success. Thank you.
Board member comments? Mr. McIntyre, we'll start with you tonight.
First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that came out tonight. And also, a big congratulations to East Albemarle and their robotic team. And lastly, just to follow up on Mr. Josie, thank you to all the teachers. I'll never forget my experience here in Stanley County Schools. I was blessed to have some amazing teachers throughout my 13 years. And we are blessed to have you all here today, and thank you so much.
2 points I'll make tonight. I raised a question roughly 4 or 5 weeks ago about a motion we made on the Indy lines and how they would feed. I had calls and emails from concerned parents. The way the motion was made, some of those students that are currently in the K-5 Indy district will, the way the motion was made, my understanding, they would be going to Central next year. And some parents were concerned, not with going to Central, but because Central's at 101% capacity. I was also given information from administration that confirmed some of those suspicions or concerns. So I raised the question. I've not heard any feedback from board members. I've not heard any solid information that says we're okay. Parents are trying to make plans for next year, and some parents are uncertain of where their students are supposed to go next year. So I feel that we owe it to them to provide clarity at the next opportune moment. The second point I'd make is piggybacking on Mr. Josie and Mr. McIntyre. I will leave the teacher that made the greatest impact on me nameless, so as not to have backlash from some of the other teachers. But I remember distinctly, and I've told people this story, I remember distinctly walking across the campus of UNC Wilmington and wondering what I was doing there. Some classes I'll take the blame for, but some classes I was not prepared for. There was one class in particular that I soared in, and it was not math. It was another curriculum other than math. But I did have the opportunity. I actually had the opportunity to play golf with that teacher years later and told her what an impact she made on my life. And teachers do have that impact on students. I just wish that every student would have the same opportunity to be impacted by their teachers that are close to them as I did. Thank you.
Ms. Watson.
I would like to say congratulations to the South Stanley Rebel Bulls ladies softball team for winning the 2007 URE Athletic Conference. I think that's a big thing for anybody that wins that championship. Also, the Albemarle Middle School for the champion of the Math 24 tournament, and especially for the Teachers of the Year. I can't say any more than what they've said over there, but those people in your life make you who you are. And we thank you so much for all the teachers that we have. Thank you.
Mr. Josie, thank you for what you said. I knew every single teacher. I was sitting next to you in some of those classes. And I echo that. Some of my very best memories and some of my most challenging lessons were made and realized in my K through 12 years. And I thank you. This is Teacher Appreciation Week. I thank everyone, the teachers, the assistants, the administrators, the custodial staff, the assistants, everybody who is working, the data managers, the secretaries, because every child that comes in there is impacted. And so I'm confused a little, Mr. Swearingen, when you say I wish all the kids had an opportunity to be impacted. They see their teachers every single day, and I know how hard you're working. I've been there working next to you for 8 years of my career. I would like to say to Ms. Belk, thank you for your dedication to NCAE and to our children, and for coming to these meetings and presenting such great information and for staying active. Mr. Andrew, thank you for your 32 years of service, for all your years of coaching, for the comments that you made to us. Thank you for recognizing Jamie Kimry. He's not here, I don't know Jamie Kimry, but I thank him for his service. Mr. Layton, thank you for bringing that to us. I don't agree with you, but it's okay, because we can disagree and we can still have conversation, and that's important. And you know, when we look at what people want, Ms. Allman did allude to the fact that we want more course offerings, and I would have to say that providing a STEM school is innovative and it's exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens there. And Ms. Allman, the course offerings that you asked about, the core course offerings, how you would like to see more, let's start a conversation. Find me afterward, email me, call me. We talked earlier this week. Talk to all of us, and we'll see if we can find a way to get some of these other core courses that you or other people are interested in. So the only way we're going to get things done is to communicate.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate all of those that were recognized earlier tonight for the robotics, for the marksmanship team, those who won the scholarships. Congratulations to each of you. Also, thank you to all the teachers and the principals, and thank you for coming to the meetings. I appreciate your interest and your support. And I would just like to say that I am disappointed that we did not discuss the Oakboro attendance zone tonight, which was on our agenda. I think that's something that we need to clear up. It doesn't need to go to policy. I think that should have been decided amongst us here tonight. People do want to know. Thank you.
Gibson.
Also, congratulations to East Albemarle Robotics team. Ms. Gullick, I said it before, you got it going on at East Albemarle. That's great. Thank you, Ms. Graham, for your work with them. Also, congratulations to North Stanley Middle School, the marksmanship team. And Melissa Belt, thank you for what you are doing with NCAE and being able to provide student scholarships. Mr. Al Andrew, I think as we think about teachers and teacher appreciation and coaches, you're representative of that. Many times I know that I might have been on the other sidelines hoping that we could beat you, and we never could. You were just the amazing person, coach, teacher that you are. Thank you for your comments tonight. I also read where yesterday, I believe, was Principal's Day. I don't know if anyone was recognized as Principal's Day, but to all of you who are here as principals, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do in your leadership role. And for teachers, I too had wonderful teachers, and being a teacher, that's just so rewarding. But I want to say this to the teachers. Thank you for those days that you don't even feel well, and you're still at school, and you still put on that smiling face, and you still can give that hug, because that means more than what we even realize. And because of you teachers and administrators and everyone else, you keep the magic alive. And that's real. You keep the magic alive for our children in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. Since everyone's long-winded tonight, the chair will take the same privilege. Just want to make one little housekeeping note for the public in general. Obviously, a lot of things happen out in the system that the board is not made aware of sometimes. And we do find out things, but I just want to make something clear. If you're working in the system or you're a parent or whatever and you have a complaint about someone or something, the board member is the last person you should be talking to. You have a teacher. If you got a beef with the teacher, you need to give the teacher an honest opportunity to work that out. And after that, you've got a principal that you need to talk to. And after that, it comes into the central office. And the reason board members don't need to be discussing the intimate details of all this stuff that you're complaining about sometimes is sometimes we have to sit and act as judge and jury when a grievance comes before us. And if you call me and get in an involved conversation about it, if it came down to me having to vote, I would have to recuse myself. So I just want to make the public aware of that. Please give the teacher the benefit of the doubt and sit down with them, and I would say 90% of your problems will probably get worked out. This is May, and Mother's Day rolls around, and it's been 2 years this August, or 3 now. Time gets off so fast since I lost my mother. And I'm thinking, you know, back to when I was little, and my mother and dad got married in the Depression years, right in the teeth of the Depression. And they had they had a dozen chickens and $1 to pay the preacher. That's what they had. And they raised 10 kids and got us all through high school that wanted to go through high school, and put a lot of emphasis on education. My mother finished the 7th grade. She published a book of poems when she was around 87 or 88 years old. They were both lifelong learners, and they believed in public education to the point that they sent us. They sacrificed to send us. And I'm sorry to say I probably didn't take advantage of the opportunity that was afforded me. And I think that's probably something a lot of young people will look back and say later on. We didn't avail ourselves. It wasn't that the teachers weren't doing their job, we just didn't avail ourselves of what was there. But thankfully, after my tour of service, I got to go to college, and I redeemed myself a little bit, and I was an honor graduate from the junior college I went to, and maintained a pretty high average at the University of Charlotte while I was working a job, being a part-time dad, and working on a military career. And then did my student teaching and did a block course through Pfeiffer later, and made A's in every course there. So I felt like I redeemed myself, but the teachers I had along the way, they did their job. Sometimes I, as a student, failed them. And I think, generally speaking, Mr. Josie, the teachers are doing their job. And I think we can be proud of what they're trying to do. But I don't want to bore you anymore with that, but I'm just telling you, you know, sometimes how far you go depends on you. I mean, you can put all kinds of opportunities out there, but if students don't avail themselves of it, it's not the system's fault, it's not the teacher's fault. And I do say parents have a vital role in this. First question my mother would ask every day I come home from school, do you have any homework tonight? And I encourage parents, take an active interest in your kids. We get so caught up in what's going on in the world sometimes and so involved in so many things, and our kids go lacking for our attention. And we need to do our part as parents. And if we do our part as parents, the teachers are going to do their part, and we're going to be proud of the result that comes out the other end of the pipeline. And I just encourage you, you know, we can focus on the negative things in our system, and we do have some, of course. We're not perfect. But we can choose to focus on the positive and stress the positive and work to improve that. That's not where we want it to be. But for goodness sakes, let's don't drown the positive things with the naysaying. I just encourage you to think through that. I think all of us want the same things sometimes. We just have varying ways of trying to get to where we want to get to. And, you know, the board member comments are not a time to get into to what we should be doing during the regular meeting. And so I'm gonna resist that tonight, but, the decision has been made to open Oakboro School. The staff is working diligently. My understanding is we may have a recommendation for principal tonight. Staff is working diligently. We're marching toward that goal. And I had a board member that I served with for many years that often beat me over the head with this, and I almost apologize for using it, but she said, Melvin, when the board makes a decision, whether you vote for it or not, you're supposed to support the decision of the board. So you don't have to agree with the decision of the board. That's your right and privilege. But our ethics do say that we support the decision. So with that, I've said enough. Next meeting will be on Tuesday, June the 6th, here in the Commons. Mr. Josie, do we have items under all three of these? Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.1186. Student matters under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1. And attorney-client matters under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3. A motion to go into closed session under those statutes. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor, if I'm saying aye. Opposed, no. All right, go into closed session. 5-minute break en route, please. Call the meeting back to order. Need a motion for section 2A. Need a motion for section 2A.
I move that we accept the administrative contracts for renewal in Section 2A.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of 2A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Didn't hear many ayes, but didn't hear any noes. The motion carries. Okay, section 2B, I'd like to vote on these individually. And the first one is for the principal at the Stanley Early College High School. All those in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Or my correction, I need a motion first. I'm sorry, getting the train ahead of the tracks again. Need a motion to approve 2B, first person. We can vote on these together, Mr. Josie, and you can announce them separately. Okay, motion is to approve the recommendations for 2B. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Josie, the chair will defer to you to make your announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board just approved for Stanley Early College, beginning July 1st, Mr. Kevin Adams. Mr. Adams is the principal of Anson New Technology High School. Currently, he's also served as the assistant principal of Anson Middle School, social studies teacher at Anson County Early College, and as a North Carolina virtual public school teacher. Has taught at the Anson Academy, Anson High School teacher, and is currently pursuing his doctorate of education. The board also approved for Oakboro STEM, Ms. Kelly Dombrowski, who currently serves as the assistant principal for South Stanley High School. And she sent a prepared statement, and I quote, "I would like to thank the Stanley County School Board, the directors, Mrs. Calvert and Mr. Josie for trusting me to lead our staff and students as we prepare to open Oakboro STEM Elementary in August. While the process of lines and buildings has been one of healthy debate and opinion, it is my hope that we can come together to ensure that all students have the opportunity to experience learning with our STEM school focus. I look forward to working in tandem with our community partners and families to create a STEM school of excellence and one in which all of Stanley County will be proud. And that's Ms. Kelly Dombrowski.
Thank you. Mr. Josie? I think we're waiting on the motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Yep. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion stand, or is approved. Meeting is adjourned.